Dr. Henry.
Thank you very much, and I would like to thank you for your kind invitation to speak on this controversy, renal artery stenosis, we have to stent or not. You know that most of the time, renal artery stenosis is an atheromatous disease in 80-90% of the cases. We can find also fibromuscular dysplasia, arteritis in India, neurofibromatosis, sometimes stenosis in renal transplant, bypass graft, and after radiation. But this renal artery stenosis is frequent, maybe 1 to 6% in general population. And if you have coronary patient, almost 40% of coronary patient with triple coronary disease, in this patient you can find a significant renal artery stenosis. It's a progressive disease, and when you have a tight stenosis, 75%, 40% occlude at 5 years. So you see this natural history of this stenosis. It's associated with increased mortality and morbidity, cause of hypertension, cause of deterioration of renal function, and it could induce congestive heart failure, unstable angina. So you have to manage renal artery stenosis. So surgery, it was proposed maybe 20 or 30 years ago. No, because we have a high morbidity, mortality, and we have very, very rare indication. And since 20, 25 years, I have never referred a patient to the surgeon for renal stenosis. Medical treatment, so we have to discuss that and endovascular procedure, and I think it's the first treatment to be proposed. Renal stenting is superior over PTA alone in terms of technical success, which is improved from 71% to 93%, and in terms of stenosis rate, which is reduced. And in some published data, you will see a stenosis rate reduction, which is important, from 48 to 14%. So it's a lot. But the value of renal stenting, maybe this procedure is in trouble because we have a major mismatch between angiographic result and clinical result. And we have two recent randomized studies, so we have to see this study and to maybe criticize these two studies, Astral and STAR study. The first study, Astral study, is a randomized study including more than 800 patients, half of them for PTA and or stent plus medical therapy, half of these patients medical therapy alone. In this study, you can see that if you look at the result, you don't have any benefit for systolic blood pressure, diastolic blood pressure, creatinine level. So in this study, stenting seems not superior to medical therapy. So why do you want to do a stenting if it's not superior? In fact, you have to look very carefully in this study. We have a lot of limitations, biggest flaw. For example, patient selection. How you can admit that? Patients were excluded from the study if their physician thought that they might benefit from intervention. How you can admit that? Angiographic data. A lot of stenosis you will see were of 40%. 40% stenosis either treated by stenting or medical therapy. It's not a renal stenosis. And no independent cord lab adjudication. For this stenosis, 40% of the stenosis were less than 70%. That means unlikely to be hemodynamically significant and to have benefited even from a successful intervention without complications, since they probably did not have the disease ischemic nephropathy in the first place. Pressure gradient was never measured in any patient. When you look at the renal length, some patients had 6 centimeters in renal length. It's a contraindication for renal stenting. I hope that all in the room agree with me. And if you look at the result, stenting only in 93% of the cases, PTA on 7%, it remains post-residual stenosis in 12% of the cases. I have never seen that. And for major adverse effect, 9%. Normally, if you do a renal stenting, you must have less than 1-2%. 9% is enormous. And you see perforation, death, cholesterol emboly, renal function deterioration in 10% of the cases. So, also, inexperience of this interventionist. 58 centers, 7 years to do this study. That means 2 patients per center and per year. You see the experience. Only 5 centers enroll more than 30 patients. The technical success after PTRA was only 82%. That means if you have 82%, you have to change your job. The success rate should be 99%. And they never use any protection devices. For the STARS trial now, it's also a randomized study with 10 centers, 140 patients with clearance less than 80 milliliters per minute, a renal stenosis greater than 50%, 64 patients was treated by stent and medical therapy, but only 46 patients were stented. Why? Medical therapy, 76 patients. Result, the primary endpoint was a worsening of renal function, and they consider more than 20% decrease in creatinine clearance for the primary endpoint, and that means 16% of the patients in stent group and 22% in medical group were in this criteria. It's not significant. The conclusion of the study, stenting is not superior to medical therapy, and the study finding favor a conservative approach to patients with renal stenosis, focus on cardiovascular risk factor management and avoiding stenting. And they conclude also, renal stenting may cause more harm than benefit. Difficult to conclude like that. So, this STARS trial is a questionable study. Patient enrolled upon non-invasive imaging. Hemodynamic significance of the stenosis was not assessed. Renal stenting was compared to medical therapy in patients very unlikely to benefit from revascularization because the lesions were milder than expected. Only 46 among the 64 patients randomized to the stenting group receive a stent. Why? 12 patients had a stenosis less than 50%, 22 between 50 and 70% stenosis. A significant stenosis is at least 70%, not 50 or 40. And 6 patients were not stented. So, in experience also, only 46 patients for stenting, less than 1 stented patient per year per center. Interventionists not adequately skilled and experienced with numerous complications, 2 renal perforation, 1 grain infection, that means 3 deaths. It's a lot. 1 cholesterol embolism, 2 technical failure, and also no embolic protection device. So these 2 studies, Astral and STAR study, are questionable studies with poor patient selection, poor technique, poor result, inexperienced interventionists. It's similar to EV3S study. You know this study for carotid angioplasty. It's a French study, so I am allowed to criticize that. Numerous limitations, no serious arguments against renal vascularization. And the conclusion of this trial seems dangerous because this could lead to denial of the procedure by physicians and by managed care organizations to patients who truly need procedure. The benefit of the procedure in appropriate patients should not be withheld based on this trial. Some patients benefit from renal stenting. It is probably not the procedure, but the operators that are the problem. Stenting keeps indication, and you should know this indication, progressive or acute deterioration of renal function and or severe uncontrolled hypertension, cardiac disturbance syndrome, renal function decline with the use of agents blocking the renin-angiotensin system, patient with unilateral artery stenosis, severe bilateral stenosis, and maybe patient dialysis-dependent renal failure. What are the results of renal stenting? Renal stenting in any good center, the technical success is about 99–100% of the cases. We have good anatomical results, very few complications, and in our series now we have maybe 1,500 procedures, and you see you had only 2 failures at the beginning of our experience, and major complication less than 1%, 0.6%. The restenosis could be a problem like with any angioplasty. It's remained maybe one of the major drawbacks of the procedure. But in fact, the restenosis rate is not very high. And if you look at this slide, you can see if you have an artery of 6 millimeters, the restenosis rate is 4%. But if you had an artery of 5 millimeters, small artery, the restenosis is much more, maybe 20%. So try to dilate at an artery of 6. And for a bigger artery, the restenosis rate is less. But you can treat restenosis. And we have different options with non-stenting approaches, balloon alone, cutting balloon, cryoplasty, debulking, brachytherapy, maybe in the future, drug-eluting balloons, that may be the way. Repeat stenting, that's the best maybe treatment at the present time with bare metal stent. Bare metal stent maybe in the future with drug-eluting balloon. Drug-eluting stent, you will see maybe it's not the best. Cover stent could be an option, and why not surgery, but very, very, very few indications. Repeat stenting, you can see that we have a good result with repeat stenting in terms of in-stent restenosis and in terms of TVR and stent diameter. You can use cover stent, and in some series, but small series, you see that the cover stent could be a good option for this kind of restenosis. Drug-eluting stent, we have disparate results, and even you have good results in ZR series, some series, but in some series, you see the restenosis rate very high. So it's difficult to say that drug-eluting stent is a good option because you don't have any large stent, drug-eluting stent, large stent with drug. So that's the problem. It's not possible to place a drug-eluting stent in a large artery. So if you enlarge a stent, you damage the stent, so it's not efficient. So we have a problem with drug-eluting stent. Why to do renal stenting? You have to do renal stenting to improve blood pressure, and you have a lot of series proving that it works. And for example, with fibromuscular dysplasia, it's a good technique, but most of the time we don't stent, we use only balloon, and you can see that we can cure or improve 85–100% of the patient. But with atheromatous renal stenosis, we cured or improved only 50–70% of the patient. This one of the last published series, Herculing renal stenting study. You can see it's a multicentric study, 200 patients with a low stenosis rate. We have a drop in systolic blood pressure in 78% of the patient at 9 months. That's a lot. It's the greatest reduction in patients who had the highest blood pressure level at the start of the study. So it works on blood pressure, and Michael Jaff concluded this study by this conclusion. These results support renal stenting as an important treatment option, as elevation in blood pressure can increase heart disease and stroke risk in patients with renal artery stenosis. We can improve renal function, and also some lot of publication showing reduction in renal function. So with ischemic nephropathy and with renal stenting, we preserve or improve the renal function. In Astral study, when you look at Astral study, you see a progression of renal insufficiency was decreased with stenting. Stenting significantly improves the rate of renal function decline in another study published by Arthurs. And in Odori registry published, reported by Sapoval, a French radiologist, you can see that the mean GFR improved in the highest risk patients. And with Calroy also reported recently some interesting result. More than 20% improvement in GFR at 12 months with stenting versus medical therapy. And revascularization reduces the risk of death by 45%. So you can see that renal stenting, it works. We can also, for cardiologists, it's important, we reduce the left ventricular hypertrophy, we improve cardiac heart failure, and we improve patient survival. So that's the reason we have to treat a renal stenting. But how to obtain good result? We need good indication, good technique, experienced operator. Good indications, that means good patient lesion selection, and how to select the lesion. You select the lesion by ultrasonography, CT angio, MRI, angiography, which is the gold standard, but now we do angiography before the procedure, not 1 month or 2 months before. And by angiography, you must dilate only a stenosis greater than 70%. 70% is considered hemodynamically significant. But sometimes it's difficult to quantify this stenosis. So for this patient, you have to measure the gradient. And in the 2 studies, STAR, Astral study, never we have seen the measure of the pressure gradient. It's very important if the stenosis is not 95%. If you have a doubt on the stenosis, do this pressure gradient measurement. Maybe you can ask a cardiologist, fractional flow reserve. IVUS also is a good technique to measure a stenosis. Resistance index, it's not a resistance index greater than 0.8. It's not a contraindication to renal stenting. So it's proved now. Maybe you can use biomarkers, and maybe you can ask Tyrone Collins on biomarker. It was done at Ochsner Clinic by your colleague, I think so. So you must have a good technique, experienced operator. You can use PTA and stent. You must use PTA and stent for all atheromatous lesion. But if you had fibromuscular dysplasia, icteritis, PTA could be enough. You don't have to stent fibromuscular dysplasia, so you crack the plaque, it's enough. You have to stent if you had a bad dissection or some complication, but it's very rare. Cutting balloon could be used also. An example of fibromuscular dysplasia, or just with balloon, you have a good improvement, and it's enough. Don't stent this kind of lesion. But after renal stenting, we have a concern. That's the main problem of renal stenting. Because when you stent a patient, you have a deterioration of the renal function in 20 to 30% of the cases, even in patients with normal renal function. Why you have that? It could be contrast media, but it's just after the procedure. Most of the time, it's due to atheroembolism. Atheroembolism, when you dilate an artery, when you place a balloon, when you place a guide wire, when you place a stent, always you emboli. It's the same in a carotid angioplasty. So it was proved by different studies. We don't have time to look at this study. Different studies prove that we emboli when we do renal stenting. So how you can prevent that? With protection device. And that's exactly the same as for carotid angioplasty. And I did some study in renal and in carotid angioplasty. When you count the number of debris after renal stenting and after carotid stenting, you have the same number of debris. That means you can see with a FiberNet filter, you can remove 8,000 debris just with a stent. That's a huge number of debris, and these debris go to the kidney and close the small artery. That's the cause of renal function deterioration. And you have now several publications in literature proving that it's efficient. And we publish a series of now we have maybe 200 patients treated with protection. And you see that we have a renal function deterioration only in 5% of the cases. It's not 20 or 30%. So maybe that's a way for the future. And the indication, maybe all atheromatous patients in the future, but it's costly. That's the problem of protection device. But maybe at the present time, patients with renal insufficiency, and I believe that all patients with renal insufficiency, if you don't want to accelerate this process, you have to protect this patient. Ischemic nephropathy patient group, bilateral renal stenosis, solitary single functioning kidney, patient with disease aorta or renal ostia, because when you place guiding catheter in the aorta, you detach plaque, and this plaque embolize to the kidney. Elderly patient, maybe diabetic. So we have to discuss maybe the indication. So to conclude, renal stenting for me is still indicated, but maybe not for all patients. We can improve blood pressure or renal function in some patients, but we need good specific indication, good patient lesion selection, good technique, and with experienced operators, the technical success rate is very high, almost 99–100%, and the complication rate less than 1%. A concern, I told you, the deterioration of the renal function after renal stenting, and now the role of protection devices. Thank you for your attention.